morning. I am taking a look at Ripple. Ripple's quite interesting, mainly because the SEC's lawsuit yesterday didn't mention Ripple at all. And when they were listing the tokens, the unregulated, tokens that they said were securities that Binance has allowed trading, you would think that they would include Ripple because they've alleged that Ripple is a security. I wonder if that is because their lawsuit against Ripple is weak, because if they were to file these charges against Binance and then Ripple in court is decided not to be a security, that potentially could weaken their case, against Binance. Either way, it's quite interesting, isn't it? If Ripple were to emerge victorious, that would be really good news for crypto and generally. It would be pretty good news for Coinbase too, and we would see a breakout of this sideways range that we have been in. In the meantime, of course, we're in this sideways range. Interestingly, the SEC lawsuit labeled quite a few really popular coins as securities: ADA, Solana, Matic, BNB obviously, and it also detailed some others: Mana, Algo, Sand, Atom, in the same category. So we'll see how that goes. Just very interesting that Ripple was missing. So here, if I take everything away, you can see that we are in this sideways range underneath this 200 moving average. This is very similar to this price action that we did in 2019, 2020, wasn't it? When we were making a bottom, we did in fact retest this low, and then that was the bottom. So, we could look at this and say, gosh, it looks like a bear flag. But, when you have a bear flag that extends, as long as the pole, it's not really a flag. Normally a flag would be not too big in relation to the flagpole, and so really this is just a sideways range here in Ripple. I'm going to take all my markings away. We'll start again and we'll look at how we are. So we can call this a channel if you like. We're going sideways in a channel or a sideways range. We could argue that it's a horizontal range, which it is, like this, and the highs of our range and these lows here are 0.54, and the lows, the horizontal lows of our range, are down here around 0.29, 0.3. And we're going sideways. The problem is that, within all of these swings here, certainly on the up, they've looked like three waves. So we've gone 1, 2, 3, and then certainly here 1, 2, 3, and that makes the rallies so far look corrective. And it also kind of makes it look like this is a bigger correction, and therefore we could see another swing low that retests the lows. So we need to be pretty careful that we're not in it when we head lower. I would say for now, this is a weekly chart. In terms of weekly candlesticks, we're looking pretty bullish. Unless we were to close back underneath this, you can see here, big bullish move, sideways holding above the weekly 200 moving average, and then we lost it down, we went. And very similar here, you can see around this 200 moving average, if we look left, it's pretty kind of good marker of support and resistance. So I do think that there is the potential, while all this stuff is going on with Binance, that we do see another leg lower here and potentially back to the bottom of this range. And if we were to go back to drawing this as a channel like this, potentially we retest these channel lows. So we need to watch out that we don't come back too far as well. One interesting thing when I look in terms of the monthly candlesticks is this is still pretty bullish, big up candle, and we're holding in the top half of this candle. So I would say on any down move, if we close underneath these monthly lows, 0.467, but monthly candlesticks, they're very hard for trade entries. That's not really very useful. I think the most useful thing here is to go look at lower time frame entries like these 4-hour moving averages. And if we look at these, you can see that we are holding underneath these bearish moving averages. They haven't quite crossed yet like we did here, but potentially we come all the way back to this 4-hour 200 moving average, which is going to be where the daily 50 moving average is. So at the moment, this is just sideways consolidation. It's not a breakdown. If I were to put my fibs on from low to high here, this 38.2 fib, 0.4944 is really, and the daily 20 moving average is for me the main key support. And I like how we haven't closed underneath these lows. But if we were to, I think we're going to have to say that we are potentially in a bigger pullback, and we're just going to go level to level. And if we break underneath these daily moving averages, we're likely to see another bigger swing lower. If we do that bigger swing lower from here, if I measure this first swing, project it from here, points down to this 786 fib and the 61.8. This is where they line up together. So I would say for me, the first support would be, if we break down underneath the daily 20, the first support would be 0.4392 and the second support would be 0.37, and we'd be looking at this trend line. So yeah, this is not a place to be buying for new long positions. We've started a correction. We put our daily Heikinashii on, flipped red, we're in a correction. We need to wait for this to bottom. It's just, if you are long and you're holding your lottery ticket, you really don't want to see a daily close underneath 0.49. I think that there is a risk that we have a bounce and then we see another leg lower down to this 50%. So at this point, you might want to think about de-risking a little bit. Not to, if you like, don't be trading Ripple with any leverage at the moment. I think is quite dangerous unless you're just in short-term swings. If you're holding it as a lottery ticket and it's mad money, I think it's a pretty good bet. You know, clearly the SEC are not too confident in their lawsuit with Ripple, or they would have included it in the filing against Binance. So that we can take that as a little bit of a positive in a bit of a bleak market at the moment. So not a good place to buy. If you have been shorter term trading Ripple, you might want to think about taking some profit on a bounce today or tomorrow. And if you are holding some Ripple lottery tickets for them to win, it looks pretty good so far, but we could turn into a bigger pullback.